Truman's and Soulard, a place we can all agree upon.
Shut up, you idiot.
Now, I'm sure that most of you know the old story about the astronaut who went far out into space and was asked on his return whether he had been to heaven and seen God. And he said yes, he said yes, he said yes.
Greetings, ladies, gentlemen, non-binaries, and sentient artificial intelligence. Join us on this journey to find the others. Because no matter where we find ourselves in this multiverse, the act of existing is all too familiar.
Guys? Is anybody out there? Hello?
The mushroom has a tremendous problem-solving ability.
Herbs are good for everything.
As we look across this great expanse and stare at the stars, we can't help but be reminded these lights, though we're seeing them all at the same time, happened across a multi-billion-year delta. Some of those fires burned millions of years ago, some billions, but all of them happened so we could experience them in this one singular moment.
They called us scouts. They called us seekers. They called us Hoosier. But we were destined to question everything.
I don't know about you, but as for me, the question has already been answered. Should we be here? Yes.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Hoosier Sophisticate here on WGNU 920 AM. You catch us live at Facebook Live, Hoosier Sophisticate. You can jump over to YouTube, Mycelial Media. We'll be streaming live there as well. Of course, if you go to WGNU920am.com, you can stream us live anywhere in the world. What a week! What a week! What a week! We are joined in studio this evening by our lovely producer, Seth Gabriel, by our guy, Mike Ote, and by our guy, Scotty Cooper. Mike, what is happening? What happened to you? You appear to have...
Oh, yeah, Mark's here, too.
Mark's on the boards.
Mark and Craig, they're not talking to each other right now. Mark and Craig kind of falling out.
Mark, I apologize. I was talking about...
Somebody ate the lunch in the lunchroom.
In the studio. Somebody ate the lunch?
Craig ate Mark's lunch out of the lunchroom last time.
I drink your milkshake.
Yeah, what happened to your hand?
What happened to your hand?
Well,
Mike?
Saturday I got done with the reception and
get up in that mic,
microphone.
baby.
Talk right in the microphone.
Came home Saturday night after reception and was slightly inebriated, chasing my wife because we were getting a little frisky.
Ooh.
And she ran right in the house, and I didn't make it in the house.
You were like you guys were doing a cute little flirty chase after one another.
No kid, the kid was gone.
Good
that
for
grandma,
you.
grandpa.
Oh, that's the best.
Okay, so you guys get out of the Uber and you decide to chase one another inside.
What did this flirty chase look like from 50 feet away, though?
Probably very goofy.
I
mean,
that's
I
the
could
best.
just imagine seeing me falling up a flight of stairs.
I'm gonna get
and
you.
phone going one way, me going the other
Oh
way.
man, I'm a big fan of this type of foreplay because sex to me is a race. It's like if I get there first, sorry, yo, I won. I'm going to sleep.
And I relate to it too because sex to me is a 12-round boxing match. If there's not at least one
It's a
broken bone or
marathon.
two, if there's not a great deal of pain, did we really even have sex?
You seen the Olympics where they do the walking, where they have to walk for like a
The power
year?
walking,
Yeah,
it hurts your hips to watch them.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's what you're talking about. Okay, Mike. So what's happening?
Anyways,
You're chasing your lovely wife.
She comes back around and realizes that something's wrong with my hand. go inside and see that my finger is jutting out to the right at a 90-degree angle.
Oh,
So then I immediately go to the kitchen, find the closest bottle of alcohol, and consume as much as I can, and
That's good.
re-break my finger to
So you
reset
pulled it.
you
pulled
did it yourself.
out?
I
You
did
reset it
myself.
yourself.
Now, the first time I tried it,
So
my
it's
finger
out.
went the opposite direction. So then that really hurt. And then I decided, let's go ahead and straighten this one out. So I just pulled straight out. And then it was like a little floppy noodle. And then I just shoved it back.
Are we still talking about your finger?
Yeah.
Or are we still-
It's just the noodle hasn't come up yet. So anyways, I popped it back in about 20 minutes after some ice. Was back in the room getting it going.
Okay, settle down. Jesus.
I can appreciate you weren't going to let nobody was going to keep you down.
Meanwhile, your wife's going, come on, get in bed, honey. Jeez, what are you doing? You're like pulling.
Find me a river, you idiot.
Yeah, come on, jam it in there.
Guys, listen, one thing that we would like to do a little bit later on in the show, if that you guys want to hear some funny relationship stories,
I
we
do.
want to talk about relationships, some of the maybe the hardships that they present, some of the funny things that come from navigating
Your
those
sex
hardships.
injuries. Maybe you guys have had a sex injury. I don't know.
If you
Bring it
guys
up.
spend come up with some questions for us, and maybe towards the end of the first hour into the second hour, we will we'll have a little relationship talk.
Oh,
And we'll have a fun little time.
They're already loving it on the text line. They are loving it. These sickos on the Sophisticated Hoosiers fan page. Sex wounds are the best. Join the club. People are consuming cannabis while they listen
They
to
are.
the show. Oh
Naturally,
my
probably
God.
patience in the comfort of their own home.
Guys, what a week. I had I want to tell a little something that's special that happened to me. Ties into the whole cannabis thing because I'm super passionate about the cannabis. I'm cannabis.
Yeah.
Passionate about cannabis. About the whole movement. And I started out just smoking and just liking the feeling of smoking. Then I thought maybe it was ruining my life because I didn't want to do my Wall Street degree anymore. I'm like, oh, maybe the weed's making me lose ambition. Really, it was just that's not what I wanted to do. I wasn't, involved with my peers in any way on that level. And so I went through this whole change. And then I really started to question whether cannabis was a medicine or not, whether I liked it so much that I wanted it to be a medicine. So I only sought out stories that made cannabis seem like a miracle cure, a plant. This is 5, 6, 7 years ago when I started just researching where cannabis was at as a medicine. That's when I kind of started, a few years later is when I started to learn about all the other plant medicines too, like ayahuasca and all that. Which my memories are coming up 3 years ago today. Some of the that's when we kind of
It's about right about now is about when you kicked off the changing station 3 years ago. It was around this time.
Yes. No.
Late
It's 4
September,
years.
right?
It'll be 4 years.
I'm sorry, 4 years ago.
It'll be 4 years in October when we kind of started this. And we met some just very just inspirational people when it comes to caring about their families and, putting their freedom on the line to, we talk about it all the time. But one of the most inspirational families and groups and people to me is this kid, Chance Hamilton. And we did like the Cuck for the Cup and a few other things for the family. And the Hamilton family it's a friend, my wife's cousin's best friend. So I kind of knew them, but I could see their story on Facebook, and their 19-year-old had ALL. And I was like, I think it's a acute lymphoblastic lymphoma. Yeah. And so I was reading up on cannabis and can cannabis help? I thought maybe it could help even with just the symptoms of chemo, and just like, hey, help. Because this kid was a steed. His dad lifted, a big old dude, an awesome, just like seventh heaven type family, where you're like, oh man, these people are great. The kid's filling out. Well, then I saw him get sick and he's getting, you're just watching this story from afar, and I'm like, okay, I got, should I do something? Should I not do something? Well, I decide to reach out and I asked Jen, I'm like, what should I do? She's like, do it. What's the worst that could happen? So I reach out, I say, hey, there's a study that was done in Europe on cannabis oil and its effect on ALL, like a 14-year-old girl. And it was doctors and scientists researching the info. I remember it was so weird to me. They had to write down white widow and they had to write down like strains of the cannabis. These doctors, it was the first time I had seen that they had taken 2 grams of oil from the Northern Lights plant, and I'm thinking, well, these doctors got to be questioning what they're doing, kind of, because of the weird, stupid strain names we got for everything. Like, Purple Kush works for cancer better. It's like, okay. So I was trying to see through all that. I end up giving them the information. They did, what they wanted to with it. But we ended up building a bond over this, Chance, you don't want to say lost a battle, but Chance, he passed away from cancer, and I know the family misses him like crazy. You see these wounds that maybe never heal and never get better, just kind of change throughout time. And growing to know this family and how much they care about each other, and how it's taught me to not take things for granted. And I don't know how much I want to say as far as cannabis oil.
I was just saying, and to see the hope that it gave them.
It was astounding.
They were frustrated that maybe caught it a little too late because his numbers were rapidly improving.
Yeah.
And we talked about the challenge of being a parent and having to choose between being an outlaw and being a parent. And it's not really a challenge. Like, it's the easiest decision you would ever have to make.
No doubt.
What are you going to do? Well, naturally, you're going to save your child at any cost.
No doubt.
And so obviously I think that's what got us definitely inspired you, got you into it, talking about it a little bit more. I came onto the show not too long after. After that, we had our buddy Blake Bell in, and then Tom Mundell came in, Jeff Mazansky came in, and found out that there's a lot of people that had Stephanie Tufts and Robbie Basil, and people where cannabis was making a unbelievable difference in their life for the better.
No doubt. Well, so we're still close to the families, obviously. And one of the crazy things is, Dad said, he's like, I want to see you. I had never met the family, and he said he wanted to see me at the funeral. And I was like, oh my God, this is gonna be a tough one. The funeral, the kid had obviously had a dramatic impact on the community around him at just 19. The way everyone was in love with this guy, like, I almost admired him. I wanted to relive my youth and make the decisions he made, because he was just a good kid. Mm-hmm. Could play instruments, like, just you could tell his siblings looked at him like he was a god. Yeah. And me and my sister, we have a pretty good relationship, but you could tell there was just so much love, special bond there. So we're hanging out at the Spanish Society. And this is one of the coolest things that's ever happened to me. But shout out to old Kessler. Kessler was at the picnic.
It was an annual picnic for the Spanish Society.
It was a picnic, and everyone's kind of hanging out at the end, and we formed a little circle at kind of like the end of this. I mean, they had a 5-table flippy cup game going on.
Oh, it was wild. Yeah.
The lights out there look so amazing. Like, the Spanish Society is awesome. So we go out there, and Chance's little sister, Evie, I think she's got to be 10, maybe 10
I think
or 11.
She's 11.
11?
Yeah.
Well, she's out there, and she's just a real cool kid, like outgoing, not a kid you want to punch in the face, because most of them you do, including my own. Like, she's like a cool kid you can have a conversation with, you get it. So we start talking about, I had the guitar out, and we're singing a few songs. Well, she asked me if I know a song, and I'm like, I think I know it, and I'm sure I've heard it a few times, because it's actually kind of a popular song. Mm-hmm. Do you remember what it was called, by the way? Gosh,
I don't. That one was out of my wheelhouse.
Someone will remember it. I'm sure Jenny remembers what it was. But it's by a Scottish kid, and the lyrics of it are, you pulled the rug out from under me, and I was just getting used to loving you, and now you're gone, and I could tell she was starting to feel it. It was making me start to feel it. It was one of the coolest. The fact that I could just even slightly contribute to this little kid putting it all out there, releasing the feelings, because that's so cathartic to let that, that was a big moment. I could tell it was like a nervous energy at first, and then eventually the big notes start coming, and she's just singing it as loud as she can. Everyone is locked in. Everyone's engaged. Jenny was weeping her eyes out uncontrollably. And to have moments like that, and, I would say, just putting yourself out there and being a part of this community is part of the biggest deal, and allowing yourself to love people and stick your neck out there. We got Dale Alcorn, that's the whole thing of Power of the Draft. Stick your neck out there for somebody. That what we're building here, this community is magical. And I just wanted to share that story and say thanks to, the Hamilton family for just staying strong. I know everything becomes so cliche at that point, but it's like you try to show love where you can, when you can. And that was a moment I thought of just pure unadulterated love. Like
it was, man. It was
everybody.
It was a moving moment. And to see her sing from her feet, you know what I mean? Like it was just moving through her whole body. And also to be able to do that, a lot of times kids are, they're outgoing, but once, the pressure's on and you're talking about kind of almost a real intimate acoustic set where, there's not much to hide flat notes. When our kids are going to start getting a little leery, I got a ham our youngest is a ham. He'll perform in front of anybody, but as soon as you put him on the spot and say, hey, sing that for everyone, no way, they clam up and runs away. She was ready to take the microphone and have her moment.
I know.
And she slayed it. It was amazing. And Jenny
cool.
wasn't the only one with tears in her eyes. Like it was a moving moment for all of us. And you're right. Like the lyrics kind of shone through. And
Someone You Loved by Louis Capaldi.
Someone You Loved. There you go.
Oh, and I was pissed because a little bit less of attention was on me. You could feel that.
Mm.
You could feel that.
I know who you are.
I kept trying to play louder,
Yeah,
and she kept singing louder. And I'm like,
the
"Gee."
cojones on this
And
shit.
everyone's like, they're really vibing, and I'm like, oh, just
start
out.
smashing your guitar and walk off stage.
Like, wow, cool, magical moment. Everyone's kind of surrounding her afterwards, and I'm like, who played the guitar?
It was really neat.
It was one of the coolest moments. And it's this group. It's this awesome group of people that allows us to keep having moments like that. I used to have moments like that far and few between. Now I feel like those moments are happening all the time.
On a weekly basis.
Cool stuff. Cool thing. I think you texted me the other day and you're like, another magical night. Almost like, when are these going to end?
No doubt.
Louise,
no doubt.
man.
And well, if you consider the fact that we had just gotten back from Michigan, like the greatest trip ever, we're happy to share this with all of our friends that are at this picnic. And it was just one thing after another, just keeps piling on. And it was amazing. And that actually kind of reminds me, because we were talking about everybody gets, I hope that everybody is as tired of this as me. Like, what about the kids? Right? It's kind of this ongoing.
Oh God!
Journey. It's right now. It's exactly what they're pushing with the e-cig ban.
Oh, I know.
Right? But you'll notice that they're always like, it's these black market THC oils. Like they always got to throw the pot oil in there because it's the THC that's killing these people, and not the fact that they're inhaling fluid fats. Right? Like they're essentially.
I don't know what's in them, Craig. I don't know what's in them. I don't. If I get them from a guy,
don't read the cartridge.
I don't know what's in it. I don't believe.
Delicious.
I don't believe anything that's on there anyway. I think all of the vape cartridges are crap. Even the best ones. I like them for convenience, but I want something that tastes a little natural.
Well, we've talked about that.
Everything's insane with the taste. Settle down on the taste.
The fake terps that are, or not even fake terps, but the terps that are being put into them. And
I'm sure some are using fake.
Aren't the companies now saying like that's not our product? They're using the vape, but they're using their own, blends or whatever.
Oh well, our guy NBev, Augie.
Yeah, they put out a statement.
Yeah,
that was a year ago that we interviewed August Bush, by the way.
I know.
This week. So there's a case that was going on. The CDC, as recently, or
CBC,
as of August 27th, the CDC confirmed 215 cases of severe lung illness among recent vapors in 25 states since June 28th, as well as a death in Illinois. Another death is under investigation in Oregon, and a Pennsylvania teenager with vaping illness symptoms is in a medically induced coma. While no official cause has been given, investigators have homed in on black market cannabis or nicotine products, recently warning consumers to steer clear of them and to stop modifying these products at home. Michigan has become the first state to ban sales of flavored e-cigarettes outright. Physicians who have treated cases of vaping-related illness told MedPage today that many patients reported vaping tetrahydrocannabinol, THC oil, particularly from illicit sources. No single substance or e-cigarette product has been consistently associated with the illness, but the CDC's recent Health Alert Network warning noted that many patients have reported using e-cigarettes containing cannabinoid products such as THC or CBD. The THC and the CBD has nothing to do with it. I
don't know. If you put it in a pen,
really,
it might totally change it when you combust it with a coil. Might turn it into poison, Craig. You don't know.
I'd hate to say it, but those numbers aren't like through the roof
Yeah,
or anything.
no, you're 100% right.
Can they mention like what
people,
about how much what has alcohol done in the same amount of time, or maybe fast food done in the last year?
Yeah, how much joy has alcohol brought to the people?
Quite a lot, but they were drinking responsibly, Steve.
Yeah, I know.
Some people weren't.
So
like
a lot of
a
lot of it has been attributed to these fats that they're using, vitamin E oils and oils that have.
So quick to blame the fats, Craig.
What is it?
They're good fats.
Lipids, I suppose.
Oh, yeah.
Essentially, what they're doing is they're giving.
It's another name for.
They're giving themselves a fat
enema.
Pneumonia. Like they're putting, instead of putting water in their lungs, they're putting fats that can't be breathed out of the lungs. You could put THC in there. You could put whatever you wanted in there. That's not what's killing them. It's the fact that they're inhaling a liquid that is not vaporizing.
If you put a vapor on your lung, what's it going to do?
It's
going to create a fungus. If it's sitting there in your lungs, just resting. No, it's my opinion.
Okay, thank you.
So if you take an oil,
Mike.
listen to me. If you take vegetable oil and douse it all over you, and you go take a shower,
okay, I like where you're going. I like where you're going.
You know what I mean? Think of that with your lungs mixed with the moisture and everything that's already in here.
Well, wouldn't an oil just absorb into your system and go away at some point?
But does
probably through my face,
like an olive oil or even a motor oil, does it absorb into your skin?
A motor oil? I have yet to coat my body in motor oil.
I haven't done either. But think about it. When you turn that into a vape, like Craig was saying, and you energize
don't like Craig was saying me. Okay.
When you take that, because if we do cigarettes, it's a smoke. It's a smoke.
Yeah.
It's not a vapor. That's why it's taking longer for us to die with cigarettes than it is these cases with.
This is one of the best theories I've ever heard in my life.
Exactly. Purely opinion. And that's what I think.
Mike is not a doctor.
I think the reason it takes longer to die from cigarettes is because of the diseases they cause a cure over an accumulative
what about popcorn
process. But I think that's kind of an interesting take on it. Dr. House over here. He's like, well, think about it. He's standing there with his cane. Well, think about it. Have you ever cooked with vegetable oil? And the doctors are like, this guy's good.
No, I haven't doused myself in
I want to go
oil.
to the YouTube comments real quick.
Please do.
Finex Music, FNX, STL, Big Pharma, and the tobacco industry working together to spread any propaganda and misinformation possible through fear tactics. I couldn't agree more with you, Finex. Thank you so much for your comment. And Tony Elkin is joining us on the YouTube feed tonight.
Oh, not that guy.
And Dr. Ross agree with that 100%, but at the same time, what's wrong with just the flower? Buddy, you're preaching to the choir. Big Pharma is about 45% of the world's problem.
Did he say agreed with Mike 100%?
He said,
what if a doctor calls in and is like, that man is spot on?
Maybe he could be. I hope
How
so.
hard would it be for the tobacco industry to filter out some misinformation or even just some stories to say, hey, because I read an article the other day that said nicotine addicts switching back to cigarettes because they can't get their e-cig juice. I just wonder, what are those guys going to do who blow the giant vape clouds? I feel bad for them now.
Yeah, they're done.
They're going to go back to
Pogs.
Never mind.
I'm gonna play Pogs.
What was the last thing that they were doing before this came out? I don't know. The yo-yos that lit up?
Probably. I don't know. I don't want to say anything.
Upside down visors.
I'm sticking with Pogs.
Yeah, Pogs was a great one.
Slammer.
I have Alf Pogs.
Nice. So I posted a little something about MDMA today. Did you guys get a chance to catch that? From Dr. Ben Sessa?
No, I didn't.
Well, it's pretty interesting, actually.
I don't read anything you post, actually.
That's all right. That's okay. I wasn't listening to anything you said earlier.
I just wait for you to tell me in person.
Fair enough. New research suggests that instead of the crushing existential mood drop we're all used to, MDMA can actually produce an afterglow if you're not an idiot about it. You wake up precisely 3 minutes. This is from Vice, by the way. You wake up after precisely 3 minutes of sleep in an immense panic, your jaw sore and the inside of your cheeks chewed to shreds. It's okay, though. You're in bed. You lie back down and allow the familiar tones of the office to rock you back into unconsciousness. Then you wake up again 50 seconds later and dramatically type 999 in your phone, just in case you are, in fact, dying. You spend the next week looking vacant and pitiful like a small child in the Victorian painting. Come downs are the punishments we deserve for living like pieces of S. However, they aren't, it turns out, mandatory parts of the MDMA experience. According to Dr. Ben Sessa, a Bristol-based addiction psychiatrist, MDMA psychotherapist, and psychedelic researcher, the lingering effects of clinical MDA tell a different story from the one we all know. Compared to a come down that has you begging your body for any remaining crumb of serotonin, which Sessa says is an artifact of sleep loss, excessive exercise, and concomitant drug use. There is no post-dosing mood drop with clinical MDMA use. Instead, it gives an afterglow, which is a much nicer word typically reserved for describing pregnant women in spa packages. Unsurprisingly, the moral of the story is if you take good MDMA in controlled doses, instead of boshing 4 pills you bought in the smoking area off someone called Spike, then you try to get some proper sleep rather than staying up for 52 hours, you'll feel much better 72 hours later. We've reached out to the authors of the study for further information, and we'll post updates as they come. In the meantime, here's some MDMA harm reduction advice. And I like giving a little advice like this because we can't advise you to use things, but if for some reason you find yourself in the scenario where maybe you've taken these medicines, you feel like maybe you're feeling sad afterwards, there's a crash, maybe you're just not feeling like anything's really filling your cup. If you're dosing recreationally, 125 milligrams, 60 milligrams for about 2 hours, 30 milligrams for 4 hours, 15 milligrams for 6, and get a cab home after 8 hours. That gives optimal positive mood effects and also safer with reduced temp and blood pressure risks. People who understand MDMA know never start greater than 125 milligrams and have the dosed every 2 hours.
The dosing always gets me. I don't, like how much they dose up, because it's like how much fits in here. Give me a frame of reference is what I'm asking for, guys.
Phoenix Music, STL. My apologies to what I called Phoenix Music. The spelling.
Yeah, are you dumb?
Well, the spelling was.
You might want to.
A little different.
You might want to rethink that. They told us to rethink mycelial media too. Okay, so don't. And then we were in a room of people who said, "That's the greatest name ever." Remember that?
I do. Yeah, there's a few people that said that was the greatest name ever.
Guys, MDMA, I'm all in. I think the more I learn about the psychedelic treatments, I realize that maybe the psychedelics aren't for everyone. I don't think necessarily the psychedelics.
They're not. You can pretty, firmly say that, like, they're not for everybody.
Yeah, I'm talking from a guy who I think just a year ago on the show I said we should dose up everyone, against their
change
will.
Your mind a little bit against their will.
But then you learn that with those experiences, I feel like it's a much heavier deal. And I think once you're dealing with heavier things, maybe you need to use some heavier tools. I feel like MDMA is kind of a light tool, and we had a conversation about this off camera, off screen, off radio, when we were talking about it'd be nice to find a pattern. Maybe if people use MDMA first and then they followed up with a psilocybin experiment, and then they did then they ended with ayahuasca, or just found like, oh, this type of pattern works really well. Because I'm all in on MDMA. I think it's a much easier journey. I think it's a much easier way to maybe deal with some issues and that aren't necessarily that crazy deep, but it helps you rewire your brain to think about them differently. I know from Queeves had some personal experiences that he's told me about, and Queeve always feels better for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month after an experience like that, especially with a loved one.
No doubt.
There's a bond there that there's maybe a chemical shroud there, but then you think, okay, all we are is chemicals.
Sure.
It's how we interact with them and use them as the tools that they are.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm all in on the MDMA. I think we're talking about our what experiments we would do. And I think that would be a really cool experiment for one of these researchers to do. Remember, you guys can become researchers.
No doubt.
That's one thing we learned about Michigan. They're looking for people to be guinea pigs and researchers, like do everything. But yeah, I don't know. I'm all in on it. I think it's a great way. I did hear something, and I'll let you talk, but I did hear something about the waste of MDMA in like Europe killing forests, where they're dumping the waste from MDMA, and it made me think of our boy
of
Dablin. They're talking about how much they have just sitting there.
Yep.
And they said, oh yeah, every festival season they dump it into the water supply, and there's a bunch of.
And they have the happiest fish ever. The population explodes because all the fish are mating.
Let's go fishing, man.
I'm in agreement with you. Actually, there's a few
you.
people. For me, I remember hearing Aubrey Marcus talk about it. Like he was talking to someone else, and like if you had to get rid of all other psychedelic medicines, but you only had to choose one for everybody to do the work, what would you? And they all chose MDMA. That would not be my choice.
What do you choose? I think psilocybin or
yeah,
MDMA.
I think I have the best relationship with psilocybin.
I think psilocybin, you can have moments of ecstasy, like in it a little bit. Like you can have moments of total euphoria.
There's no question.
I've almost died, or Queeves almost died of laughter. Oh, that's the one thing I was worried about. Queeve
was worried about it. I'm starting to think that you know this Queeve guy. So
intimately.
But I agree with you in that it's a heart opener, right? Like they have heart opening ceremonies that are pulled around this. If you can sit in the right, set and setting, there's probably less of a chance to have like a psychotic break with MDMA. It's not much that it doesn't really, really bend your perception too much. Makes you feel good. It makes you feel warm.
Makes you feel confident too. I feel
that when.
Because you're very open about loving each other and talking and complimenting people and feeling really good. And I think it gives you the confidence to not care what other people think, but also care deeply about other people, which is something that you can probably practice. I know you can practice just in the real world. And maybe that MDMA gives you a little kickstart and, kind of shows you the game plan. And then you just keep putting that into practice every day. I think it's awesome. I think everyone should go out and do some MDMA right now.
That actually brought up a no.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
That's
why I said
that anybody
I'm joking.
But I will say this lady asked a pretty cool question of Dr. Alan Davis, Johns Hopkins researcher who's now at Ohio State, after that documentary we went and saw. And she asked, do you have, because in England, they've been using fixed doses for all people. And this is kind of on the tail of me asking him, like, looking at the one guy, they're given they give an introductory dose of 10 milligrams, which is just to see how their bodies reacted to the psilocybin. And then the second time through, it was 25 milligrams. That was their big dose, which works out, if you guys are doing the math at home, to 2.5 grams. And I'm seeing a guy who was wholly unmoved by the original experience and could not find any light in life. And I'm like, I want to yell at the screen, you have to give this guy more than 25 milligrams. You have to give this guy 50 milligrams or up. Give him the dose. Give him the threshold dose, right? And then you might provide that spark that he was listening. He's safe. He's not going anywhere. You got two people sitting there with him, holding his hands. They've created a nice place. That 25 is not going to touch this dude.
I know. I would have been worried if that guy freaked out.
Now this one guy,
lumberjack. He's a lumberjack.
So after the movie, the one guy was asking, with fixed doses, do you have a concern with different age limits? If you were going to administer this medicine to somebody older, would you be more apt to give them a smaller dose because they're older? And he had a really interesting answer that I thought was kind of cool. And that was, he said, actually, I would probably go the other way on it. And that's because throughout a whole lifetime of,
listen, they're old. They're going to get 15
they've
grams.
They have the potential to have had a lot more trauma. If they're seeking out a depression, a depression study where they're trying a medicine they've never tried before because nothing else is working. In a roundabout way, it actually makes a little bit more sense to give them a more wowing dose.
Yeah, when I get old, I'm doing all the drugs.
Darn tootin'.
Darn. Get over here and sit on Grandpa's lap. Yeah. Grandpa, that's a salamander you're talking to over there.
that's a plant.
We have a pretty funny thing. Yeah, that also has a great point on the line. There are roll safe kits. I think if you go to rollsafe.org, if you're thinking about going to a festival or anything like that, more and more festivals are getting some harm reduction tents set up. It's one of the things that MAPS works on, the Zendo project through MAPS.
Thank you. I was just
they set up harm reduction tents. So if you find yourself, here's the idea: if you're going to bend your consciousness, if you're going to try and explore, different realms and things like that, or if you're just going to have some fun, just do things responsibly. I mean, do it not just for you, but do it for the community that you believe. Most people that are taking these things at least know a little bit more than the average Joe and know kind of the profound experience that can come of it.
Yeah, because your buddy Greg.
Yeah. Greg's a real piece of work sometimes.
Greg almost got himself in some
real
trouble.
Pickle. He got himself in a tight little spot. You only
Greg and Cleve, they're a bunch of knuckleheads. What can we say? Oh yeah.
But they're good friends.
Yes,
they're good friends.
Where do you draw the line?
Just do things responsibly, because it's not only affecting you. If you believe in the efficacy of psychedelic medicine, efficacy bell, boom. If you believe in the efficacy of psychedelic medicine,
Jesus Christ, man,
then you understand that it's also kind of your responsibility to be a responsible flag bearer for psychedelics. And if you go out and you do ridiculous things and put yourself in harm's way and become a headline somewhere, you set movements back.
First man to fly without wings. That headline. Okay, speaking of being responsible, would you give psychedelics to a child?
No, I wouldn't.
Okay, no, hear me out before I start talking anymore, before Seth shuts this entire program down. But in tribal, we asked about tribal ceremonies. You brought up the age thing about older people. And in some regions, they give hallucinogens to children, I think. Someone fact check.
No, that's 100% true.
Okay.
Actually, in the Amazon, like there are mothers that put ayahuasca on their areola, on their nipples as they breastfeed.
Let's say that we live in a tribal setting. There are no rules. We have kids. These two are childless heathens over here, just living it good.
Having a good
God,
it's all right. So everything I own is mine. I've never
Everything
bought anything for anyone else.
Everything I own is broken. Okay, but do you see?
I always decide what's on TV.
Do you see any benefits from in your own life? Like if they said, "Hey, Mike, little baby Mike, you're 10. We're gonna give you a couple grams and send you out into the woods for a night."
That's a horrendous idea.
Have you ever seen 300?
Yeah, but I don't think they were hopping the kid up on 10 grams of boomers.
Why not? How else are you gonna become
I mean, maybe
someone look up how they do it and
how the Spartans, they also threw babies off of rocks if they looked a little.
And
different.
look at what happens when you do that, Craig.
I'm
You
aware.
get specimens for generations.
The Spartans
to come.
made fun of the Greeks. Okay,
They no. Well,
Of
they
the free
infiltrated
Greeks as boy lovers.
I know. Well, the
There you
Spartans were loving boys all day, every day.
Say that to a Spartan's face.
I will. They'll admit it.
Oh, look at this. If a baby was weak, the Spartans exposed it on the hillside or took it away to become a slave.
See?
Huh.
That's all you
Nurses
could
had
find.
the primary
You
care
couldn't
of the
find
baby
anything
and did
about
not cuddle
them
it.
packing them full of a heroic dose of psilocybin.
Yeah, we're
looking
getting
now.
Children should
Throwing
not
them
do
in a
psychedelics. We're
pit.
getting some good comments on the text line here. I'm not saying
no,
that.
but to build on that, that was something that came up. One of the researchers that we were talking to, they are working on getting permission with minors. It will start obviously with
coal miners or diamond miners or thank you.
less than 18 years old.
Nothing
So
about
there's
dosing
a
children.
3-step plan.
That's what I heard stories.
These kids that have untreatable depression, who are suicide risks, even going or children who have been molested or raped or have seen trauma. I don't know, maybe a drone bombed their aunt's wedding and killed everybody. It's entirely possible.
Runaway train, never going back.
Little Soul Asylum.
Runaway train.
One of the first albums I ever had. Grave Dancers Union. It's a great little track.
That video used to make me sad.
That video raised money for Runaways. all the proceeds
helps
from
them
that,
them run away.
Yeah,
They're like,
scariest-
here's
set 'em up.
$100.
Actually, what
Get
they
out
did-
of town.
What they did was they built like a thing like Shredder built for all the kids that the Foot Clan was recruiting. Remember that in the Ninja Turtles movie
No.
where they would all like skate underground. They were like trading cigarettes and everything. Had all the fun stuff. That's what they
I
did
know.
with all
I was
the
like, I want to
proceeds.
be in the
I wanna be in the Foot
Clan. Foot Clan, baby.
Dude, that video was just creepy.
Yeah,
I was afraid to go outside after I saw that.
I could see myself getting to the Foot Clan though. And
Time that I couldn't
they're like-
even sleep.
you got to wear these shoes that have like the toe and then the 4 other toes in one. I'd be like, guys,
I can't do
I
it.
can't do it. I can't do it. It's weird.
That was your hang up.
Yeah, I'm like, I'll smoke all the cigarettes, guys.
The
But I
fact,
don't
that,
know.
the fact that you didn't have to fight like a 350-pound solid muscle
No, that's
turtle.
cool. No, that's fine. I'll do that barefoot. That's
Okay.
what I told them.
I got you.
I'm better barefoot, faster, more
But they
agile.
did talk about how they that's something to be excited about, is that it's getting the in medical circles, it's getting the props, the attention, the
Props, baby.
go ahead from the from the medical field as a effective enough medicine to actually administer to minors. So that's, I mean,
MDMA,
psilocybin.
Whew.
Yeah, probably MDMA too. I would think those two are. I think you're going to see those two used more for those things. I can't. I mean, I think that there's a very urgent need to start talking about ibogaine with all of these, with the opioid problem that we have right now. I think that ibogaine really needs to be looked at heavily. There's some challenges and some some risks attached to ibogaine. Ibogaine actually is pretty hard on your heart, or can be. It can really give you a racing heart. But I think in a clinical setting, once again, where you're safe,
I'm gonna harden my heart.
do that for everything.
I'm
that I say.
gonna swallow my tears. Oh, yeah, I will.
You're feeling froggy today. I like
I
it.
am.
I like it.
A lot of ibogaine in my system.
Oh, I doubt that. And that's the other thing. Is
Ibogaine's a party drug.
The more and more
Woo!
we can get to where we're educating people, they're going to realize that there is zero chance for abuse with something like ibogaine.
Hey, my mom told me, she goes, you're going to get addicted to psychedelics one day. Go ninja, go. That's from our text line.
Nice. Go. Ross is double teaming us here.
I don't know. That's the hottest
Yeah,
thing I've heard all
double teaming
day.
us here.
I don't know if I'm down with a kid taking psychs. I'm going to need some science behind that one, bro. That's
They're
spoken
annoying
like
enough without 'em.
a true sophisticated Hoosier, man. That's great.
Well, I mean, yeah, I think the same brain science probably
Yeah.
applies, to.
Yeah.
I don't want kids taking psychedelics
No,
recreationally.
me
That's for
neither.
darn
Kids
sure.
are already on psychedelics.
No doubt. Talk to a 4-year-old
There,
and see if they need
exactly.
There's some
psychedelics.
South American tribes that give their dogs psychedelics. Apparently,
Same diff
Cool.
for a dog owner.
Same dip, bro.
A dog owner.
That's cool because the dog can't tell you like, no, this is terrible. I'm freaking
guys,
out.
I'm
the kid
freaking
can
out.
at least be like, yeah, no.
Oh, I'm pretty
Weird.
sure cats are always on DMT, so that's neat.
They look at everything like they are. They're just always confused.
I'm 100% sure that cats can communicate with you while you're in that
Quit
space.
saying 100% sure like they told you.
That's how
That's
he
the
knows.
100% Bell.
We've got a lot of stuff coming back.
A lot of
tonight.
stuff coming
lot
back.
of, lot of memories
A
boiling
lot of
up.
stuff coming back.
We talked to Adolphus Bush.
We did a year ago.
Remember that?
Yeah, we do.
That was awesome. We want to replay that interview?
I don't.
The last 10 minutes.
I don't. It was like
No, we
Steve's
do have an
proudest
interview
moment.
you haven't talked about yet.
We
though.
do. And on the other side of the break, we pre-recorded an interview with our friend Adela Wisdom. She's running for
Great
state
interview.
Congress here in Missouri, District 3, I believe, on the Republican side of the ticket. She got raided. They were flying some. Well, I'll let her tell you the story if you guys. Stick
Yeah,
around
why are you
for that.
blowing?
It
Why
was
are you blowing it right now?
Pretty great. Yeah, it was a great interview, and I think we've got it to where we can maybe clip it and make it shareable here in the next.
How long
couple
is
of
it?
days.
It's about 20 minutes.
20 minutes.
That's good. That's
Get
perfect.
to
I
that.
figured out what was going on because that was a big story.
It was
kind
It
of
was
like
trending
breaking
pretty
news.
heavily, and the thing is there's
breaking news and stuff.
there's as this thing rolls out, we're going to keep kind of hitting little roadblocks. I saw something today where the cannabis was investigated with some undercovers because of rumors that they were
Cannabis.
selling reefer after giving their
Way to lock in that name.
yeah, no doubt.
Dude, a part of me, I know
They're waiting
everyone's
for
up.
years. It's gonna
Everyone,
be called Cannabis. Watch.
all of our friends, all of the people in the industry, and I get it. Everyone's kind of up in arms. I saw that story shared more than anything.
Yeah.
More than
listen,
anything. More than Aiden's lion stuff. And I see that. But it just shows that we can be crappy sometimes, that it's like, oh, this person's doing it wrong. And everyone's got this sense of righteousness. They got to go ahead and shake. I hate that, man. Because you know what? People have been doing it illegally for years and years. There's just some,
it seems like
a crackpot who's selling it out of a van. Like, what are the rules?
Well,
what are the rules?
I'm in agreement with you in that, like,
I'm just saying you're not
like
holding
stitches
now.
get stitches, Thank you. Stitches get stitches.
I'm not about that life.
But on the flip side of that, some people worked really hard. Some people have worked really hard to get this legal. There are parents that have worked really hard to get this for their kids.
Just because you work so hard doesn't mean that you have to get mad about people like that.
But here's the thing. I do believe that law enforcement right now is trying to look for as many gotcha moments as they can.
Why?
Get.
What's their deal?
Yeah, like
Because
if a
it's
guy
still-
wants to
Get
have
outta here.
300 plants,
what
I'm
is
just
the problem?
confused as to why that was a
the
problem.
problem?
Favorite thing of all time. I went to jail. I had 300 plants. I don't get it.
Yeah, what's the problem? I'm just farming.
We get why you went to jail, but like our whole thing is we don't think that should have been a thing to begin with. But
Yeah.
obviously,
Yeah, it was.
yeah, it's pretty obvious why you went to jail.
And I get it. People, you're right. People have the blood, sweat, and tears. So you can see
Well-
where they'd be like, get this moron out of here, ruining
And let's
everything
and-
good about it.
So first off, it bears noting that they didn't find that they were actually doing that. No undercovers found any kind of
I know. I went there and
illicit
did my own
activity,
research. I
any
was
kind of
hey,
illicit
$25.
you
activity
know,
going
when you
on.
start to see progress for something, like you said, people have been working really hard on, and it's very
Sit hard
important. You don't want your Gregs and your queefers or
Queefs.
whatever to come along
Queeve,
and-
you sicko.
and screw it up for everybody.
Yeah, I know. Queeve should try asking Malala some questions. Queeve will.
So let's if you guys have some questions about relationships, I think relationships are kind of some funny stuff. Anybody at home, you want to talk about talk about love a little bit? We've teased it a couple of times on the show. The Adele interview is going to run about 20 minutes next hour, so that's going to leave us, with about another 20 minutes to talk. I think it'd be a pretty fun little thing to jump into. So I'll tell you what. One thing that I love in this group, and I think that this group is a testament to love, because I feel as though couples that participate in this group, I feel like their relationships are improving, and I feel like there are more and more meaningful questions asked on our fan page every day. People that have asking relationship advice. Hey, I'm a little frustrated at home. I haven't been able to communicate with my wife, and I have needs that I don't feel are being met, and I'm obviously missing the ball somewhere with her that she's not. And like 147 comments of people that aren't like making light of it. They're actually
That
like,
was awesome.
have you tried this, or this?
Yeah.
If you haven't tried, or if you have tried those things, it might be time to have a tougher,
Yeah.
like people that are really coming from a beautiful place.
That was cool.
It's awesome.
And I
It's
was
awesome.
like, dick memes. What are you guys doing here? Why
Yeah.
are you like
Sure.
you're missing the point of the page,
Sure.
guys?
I think that plays.
What?
Yeah. Dick Tracy.
Okay.
Dick
Hey, Mark,
Tracy,
go ahead and
man.
hit the dump button just in case.
What the heck? That's what I
Yeah.
get dumped for. That's
Yeah.
what I get dumped for. Okay, whatever,
Just,
guys.
just say sex memes, because I was going to say the same thing. That's the one. I just log in like, who wears the sex meme?
Yeah.
There's been some things lately. It's like some barstool sports style. Like
yeah, man.
I'm just like,
That's
all
the best.
right. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't hate this. I don't know why you thought to put it here, but okay.
It's hard to be hung up on relationships too when most of our live events are just like a sweaty, writhing pile of bodies and heat and just musk. Just you can't tell whose arm is whose leg, whose baby arm is in there, if you know what I mean. Wink, wink, baby arm holding an apple.
Craig,
Yeah.
That was Queeve.
we have a couple things to get to before the break, and one of the first
Before
ones,
Steve crashes this damn plane.
yeah.
I'm feeling good tonight. I'm feeling
I
good.
mean, Steve needs a break.
We're about
And
to
we
be
need hear
off.
from our sponsor, but no, that's not necessarily true.
Yeah,
We're
it was
working
Seth screaming from the thing where people are concerned about stuff. Scream from. What is that? From the house on fire.
from the ledge. I don't
Yeah,
know.
there you
No,
go.
Everything's fine.
Is it?
Is
it?
It's fine, Steve. You know why? Because we have such a wonderful show with great segments like the Craig moment of the week, for example. So we're gonna go ahead and get to that. This is a shorter one.
I haven't been recording very much lately. I don't know.
I know. You're making my job.
You guys are digging deep on these.
Kind of tough, Craig. You're making my job kind of
I
tough.
would go
This is
digging
a
deep.
shorter one, but I kind of like it. Let's go ahead and hit you with your weekly edition of Craig Moments.
What are you guys up to today? It's Thursday. We're rocking. We're rolling. Paris got after the neighbor's dog this morning. Is it that little yapping ass stupid dog? Because fuck that dog. It's been barking for 4 years. I hope Paris beat his ass. Stupid little dog. I hate that thing. Anyway, I don't hate. I don't hate anything. I wish that damn thing would go inside and just not bark constantly. Well, studying. What are you studying, Rob Lowe? You studying the Earth? You studying the circumference of the Earth?
What?
I don't know. Just curious.
That's your Craig moment of the week.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah, right.
No, for real,
Is that your
right.
friend that's is a flat earther?
He's in the
A
group.
flirter?
Rob Glow.
Yeah.
He's in the group. I don't
Rob
know.
Glow's an interesting dude.
I don't know that he is a flat earther, but he definitely is asking the questions.
Okay.
He said for 5 years or so, he's like just was vehemently no way, and he says, science is changing his mind a little bit.
Some
So,
science
I
has
don't
changed
know.
his mind, or some random Google
some
people.
random Google people.
Someone
All right.
said Seth is the best producer of all time on the text line. That's gross. That's the grossest thing I've ever seen.
That dog sucks.
needed
Though. I
that.
want to go on the record.
You've
That
been
dog
waiting. He's like, by the way,
sucks so hard.
I just want to
It's just been
reiterate.
barking nonstop for my whole life in Hillsborough.
What
It's
kind
made
of
me hate
dog
an entire city. It's like one of those stupid little
runs on batteries, like tiny
wire
little
hair, stringy looking dirt bags. I hate that thing. And my
It's a
cat
little
just recently
crap
started
rat.
going outside, and so like to find out that he went over there and just because I'm sure what happened was, and my cat's a total a-hole. I don't know if I can say that, but I think I can.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll
there's
he
no
can say
question.
whatever he wants. Okay. Yeah, right.
A-hole is fine.
Yeah, right. Mr. Chair.
When in doubt,
Shit.
use kitty language.
Okay,
That's
great.
That's
So,
what we do.
My cat
Thanks,
is
Dad.
he's kind of
Some butthead.
He just does little things. He just does little things to annoy you, but he's never really attacked anything. He brought me a cicada home as a trophy the other day. That was kind of cool.
Live?
Yeah, well, he left it on the doorstep. That wasn't so
Yeah,
loud.
they bring you
anymore. Yeah,
presents.
it's pretty cool. So
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, I got me a little mouser. This is cool.
Yeah.
And that was when Miss said that. And apparently, it got all up in that dog's business. But who could blame him? He's out. If you were outside for 30 minutes with this dog, you would understand. You would understand.
Wouldn't that be funny? Like you find the cicada and you're like, oh, cool. The cat brought me a treat. Meanwhile, the cat's hiding in the bushes like, watch. I'm going to bring this idiot a bug and he's going to act like it's a big deal. He's just sitting there like,
He's laughing with his
what
friend.
an idiot. Yeah. What is that? And you're like, oh, thank you. You're like giving thanks, like making sure the cat feels good.
Let's just put him back in his tree. We're going to send him back to live with his friends, Cat.
God. Having a good time tonight.
Craig, are we up
Hoosier
against it?
Sophisticate Radio here on WGNU 920 AM.com.
Well, hold
We're
on.
getting
not-
real close.
We're almost up against it, but Craig, I wanted to tell you. I wanted to tell everybody a story, but I want your ears, Craig. Listen, everyone. The other day, a couple weekends ago, I was going to tell this last week, but I didn't. So it's a Saturday morning. I'm enjoying my coffee. It's about 10 a.m. I'm doing my usual Saturday morning routine. Just do a little sippy on the coffee, and I hear from outside. I hear, "Oh, F you up! Oh, F you up!" And I'm just like, "Oh wow, this is loud. This is violent." It's like right out in front of the apartment. Like,
Okay.
I'm sitting right next to the window. It's like right below me. So I'm like, all right. So I peek out and I'm like, oh, what's going on out here? This dude is standing on the hood of a car. I don't know if these people know each other. I don't know if there's a carjacking gone wrong. I have no clue what's going on, but he's pointing in the windshield. He's like, I'll F you up. And all of a sudden the car just slams on the gas and the guy sticks to the windshield like a bug and they just drive off out of view. So fast.
Dude, still on the windshield.
Yes.
Oh man.
And I just sat back down and I go, huh. And I was like, that situation has nothing to do with me. I'm sure it will resolve itself.
That's awesome.
If the cops need to be called, they will be informed at some point. If that person hit the brakes,
They were
That
gonna
dude's
dump 'em.
he's clearing 30 yards.
If
easy.
They were going
grip
that
in,
fast?
No, you grip in right there by the windshield where the hood is.
You've been-
can get a
yeah,
grip.
that's done- you've done this before, haven't you?
no.
Well, I'll tell you what. We can only hope. We can all only hope that both the driver and the guy hanging from the hood
Are dead.
were insured by James Carlton State Farm.
When things get that extreme,
Because
you
when
need
they-
the best.
One
You
guy,
need the best.
One guy needs life insurance. That's for darn sure. And if he's with James Carlton, he's not spending a whole bunch on his life insurance every month. So I mean, it's it's very possible that he was sufficiently covered.
He was dressed
and then
in
the
regal
driver,
clothes.
State Farm's gonna probably say they're gonna want you to abstain from driving around with people on your hood. But hey, if somebody accidentally ended up on your hood while you were driving, and you know what you could probably do? You could probably call James mid-trip and say, I got a guy on my hood. I'm afraid if I brake, I'm going to dump him. And I'm afraid if I don't brake, I'm going to catch a case.
James is like, hold on. He shows up in a car on a hood alongside.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm
and
saying.
talks
So
the guy out of it.
it's just like Fast and Furious, the original one. Like,
Doesn't have to
he-
go down
he-
like this.
He's speeding up. James
have
like, I got my
choices.
people on it, because this is what happens. It's happened to me before. You get your car don't start. Maybe you caught a flat. You know what's going to happen? James is going to send somebody to come get you, because it's not for not much more. You can add towing to your car insurance.
That's
okay?
where he sticks a toe in you.
Oh, gosh, man, you are killing me tonight. I can't wait to read the email tomorrow.
Drop that.
No, this isn't an email. This is a call straight to my office.
Well, maybe you'll actually get a hold of somebody then. Maybe. We can get a hold of somebody up in here.
No way.
Oh, see,
No
that was
way,
also
yeah, right.
what you just said was also bad. Now, if you're the guy on the windshield or the person driving, call us on the show and let us know you're
No
okay.
doubt. Or at the very least, call 314-961-4800. Ask him for a quote now that you got all of that bad driving out of your system, because there's no doubt that wherever you're at right now probably dumped you, unless you're with James, where he's like, I ain't ratting on my customer. I ain't ratting on my customer.
That's my G.
I got an alibi for. He was sitting in my office on 34 North Gore in Webster Groves.
Yeah.
He was sitting right there. I don't even
I
know what
know.
you're talking about.
I listen to Bone.
CarltonInsurance.net. I listened to Bone.
I'm at the crossroads.
Hey.
I'm at a crossroads.
You're ruining it.
Oh, really? Because it sounds
God.
exactly like the song.
I
I miss my uncle. Okay, that's the only thing I heard him say.
Miss my Uncle Charles, y'all.
Nowadays on the job.
Gotta be strong. I'm going to break. This first hour is brought to you by James Carlton State Farm. This is Hoosier Sophisticate. On the other side, we're going to listen to an interview from Adela Wisdom, and we're going to talk relationships. We're going to get real high and steamy. We're going to teach you on how to be a better partner at home. And we're just going to do this thing. Hoosier Sophisticate, WGNU, 920 a.m. Stick around to the other side of the break.
Hippie, the crazy koala bear, and I'm here to tell you about James Carlton Insurance.
It's quiet down.
It's the best.
It's quiet down and listen to Kippy.
Grown-ups need insurance, and Uncle James can help.
Right on.
Grown-ups need insurance. He's got the best reviews on Yelp. Grown-ups need insurance if they want to protect their house.
Yes, sir.
Grown-ups need insurance if they want to properly bury a spouse.
That's a bit morbid.
Grown-ups need insurance if they drive a truck.
Okay.
Grown-ups need insurance just so they don't get.
Whoa, Kippy, you can't.
Well, I was just
No,
going to
you
say
cannot.
get in trouble.
Okay, well, it
You don't
sounded like
want
you were
to
going
get in trouble.
like you were going to say something else. James Carlton, State Farm Insurance. You can find him online at carltoninsurance.net, or you can call him at 314-961-4800.
Hey girl, where you want to go?
I don't care, I just love you.
Are you hungry? Do you want to get something to eat?
I don't care, I'm kind of hungry.
Well, what sounds good?
Anything sounds good, you pick.
How about some Mexican?
No, I had that for lunch yesterday.
How about we get some Italian food?
Ew.
Okay, now you're not saying anything and just
I
giving
just
me a
want
look.
something delicious.
What does that even mean?
I want to sit outside.
Applebee's, son?
Applebee's
No,
is
Applebee's.
gross. I'm not
Applebee's is
eating
good.
Applebee's.
I don't know why you always
Applebee's
hate on
fries are
Applebee's.
disgusting.
Applebee's is one of
They're
my favorite darn
gross.
places to go ever.
I'm not eating Applebee's.
I want to go to Truman. Let's go to Truman's. Soon-Lar, go to Truman. I want to go to Truman. It's Soon-Lar, take me to Truman. We agree on Truman. I love Truman. Soon-Lar, I love Truman. Soon-Lar.
Truman's and Soulard, a place we can all agree upon.
Shut up, you idiot.
Lifetime.
Jill.
It lasts a lifetime.
Come on.
It lasts a lifetime.
And just go Google it.
I'm gonna lay those shingles down, girl, for you. I'm gonna lay those shingles down, boy, for you. I'm gonna do some siding, get you excited. James Hardy siding.
Google it.
For a lifetime. You know I make your neighbors cry. Boo, hoo. Cause we tell all the leaks go by. And you know we all do the side.
Guys, Lifetime Roofing. They're the best roofers in the game. Best customer service. LifetimeSTL.com. Google them.
WGNU, the talk of St. Louis. Broadcasting on 920 AM and 106.9 FM.
People of curiosity, people of unusual or traveled circumstance usually find themselves unsatisfied with the conventional answers. And then you can add the fact that over the last 100 years, what has come into the toolbox of thinking Westerners is a whole array of consciousness-altering substances that were not there before. And they accelerate, accentuate the dissolution of sanctioned paradigms.
There is no better way to make until fading away, fading away.
Hoosier Sophisticate on WGNU.
Time putting it through to legacy and wish to your head sometimes like the same. Forgotten and asleep.
Welcome back to Hoosier Sophisticate. Joining us on the phone is Adela Wisdom, Republican congressional candidate, state of Missouri, District 3. Had a pretty big week. A little run-in with law enforcement. She's going to clear some things up here on the show.
Man, drones and weed plants and politics.
And nudity.
It's going to get wild.
Adela, I guess we know you've been a voice for the cannabis movement for the last little while. We want to introduce you kind of to our fan base. What happened? It's a busy week this week. So what happened in your world, and then also give you a chance to maybe talk about your platform and what you're doing in the political sphere. You mind letting us know a little bit about yourself?
So yeah, my name is Adela Wisdom. I'm formerly known as Adela Falk. I just got married, and I've been an advocate and advocating for judicial reform, specifically on just cannabis laws, for a better part of 12 years. In about 2008, I got in a severe accident, and I was a senior at San Diego State University, majoring in finance. I worked with 2 enrolled agents doing IRS tax court, and I found myself severely disabled. I had 7 screws and a plate put in my foot, and I couldn't walk, and so I lost my job and dropped out of school, and really found my voice in activism during that time. I've always been a cannabis. I've always been somebody who used cannabis for medicinal purposes. I just didn't realize how medicinal it was until this accident. And I realized that there was a voice that needed to be heard, because it really didn't matter if you were a patient or you were a cultivator or you were a caregiver or whatever it was. I noticed that people were being arrested and incarcerated for cannabis. And it boiled down to unjust laws. And so I became an activist. I traveled around the world. I went to Australia, to Canada. I've been to the United Nations. I spoke at UNGAS a couple of years ago about judicial reform. And my grandfather passed away, and I moved to Missouri. I purchased his land. I'm in Williamsburg, Missouri, in Callaway County. And I moved here about 8 years ago. And and it's been pretty interesting. I ran for a state representative in District 43 2 years ago. And I decided that I really, really wanted to enact change. I really wanted to see something go forward. So I ran for Congress this year. I'm running for 2020, and I just officially announced it. But, I'm a pro-cannabis and pro-hemp candidate, and I'm not sure how this all came about. But, last Thursday, we saw a helicopter flying over our property about 7:20, and I knew right off the bat that it was the Mustang Task Force. I mean, it's a pretty identifiable helicopter. And so we went into
What's
town.
the Mustang Task Force?
The Mustang Task Force?
Yeah, what is that?
That's a drug task force here in Missouri. It's federally funded, and they fly over and they do marijuana ratifications, and they just have a lot of money, and they go after things from obviously meth labs and people who are getting drugs in the mail and all of that stuff. But they get a lot of money to fly over us for a couple of months out of the year, from my understanding. And Friday, when we pulled into Fulton, we saw the helicopter leaving. And we giggled to ourselves, my husband and I, and said, I wonder if they're going over our property again. And we came back, and lo and behold, we were told they were over our property for about 40 minutes. So I'm on 8 acres. It's pretty isolated, but I do have neighbors. And so they were aware of the situation and saw what was happening, and they told us. And so we were like, well, something's going to happen. We're not sure what's going on, but they're here. And we've been told that they fly over Kingdom of Callaway Estates quite often. And so we just went about our life. And then on Monday, nothing happened. And we were really expecting law enforcement to show up or to call or a knock and talk, hey, what's going on? And then Tuesday, my husband's outside and he says, hey, there's a drone over our house. And so unfortunately, this ends up being the most important part of the situation, what I did next versus the fact that they're using helicopters and drones to go over people's houses. We don't know what to do in this situation, and we don't want a drone over our house, and we don't want helicopters over our house. So I'm thinking I have a reasonable expectations of privacy. So I got naked, and they left because they backed up. You could tell they were zoomed in because they were so far up, nothing would have been visible to a naked eye. No pun intended. I have a good sense of humor after all of this. I'm really trying
You got
to be
to.
positive. And they came back, and we went through it again. I took my clothes off, and they left. And 15 minutes later, being that we're on 8 acres, you have to go over a dam to get to our property, just the way it's situated. And it's a locked gate, and they rammed the gate. It didn't bust, so they cut the lock off, or the link off. And they came up, and we saw them coming. And so I went out, and I told them right off the bat, here, I'm Facebook Live We informed them there was guns in the house and that there was dogs. Why? Because I'm terrified and I don't want my dogs to get shot and killed because they could look maybe aggressive. I'm not sure. I just got scared. And so I gave all the information that we thought was necessary. They served us the warrant. And it said for marijuana and all items associated with marijuana cultivation, drug trafficking, drug sales, drug use, including but not limited to drug paraphernalia and currency. The sections were only 3 sections of the codes that they were saying we were violating, and that was 579.015, 579.020, 571.070. And that last one to me was very interesting because that 571.070 is kind of like, it almost sounds like they were accusing us of booby trapping our house. So I never got a chance to talk about this on any of the videos because I've been doing all this research. But it was saying that manufacturing or cultivation of something of a controlled substance where you could danger somebody, like, setting something up where if somebody stepped on something, they could be hurt. I don't know where they got all of this. I don't know where this is all coming from. Needless to say, they had around 7 vehicles here, including a quad. I would say at least 7 to 10 officers. A couple of them had masks over their face with the Mustang Task Force T-shirts. There was a woman here, which is relevant to me because I was patted down by a man. And they proceeded to look through all 3 of our parcels. And after an hour, they didn't find anything. There was no evidence gathered. Had there been, it would have been written on our search warrant. There was no arrest made, and they left.
Are you running in like nefarious circles down there? Did they have any reason like, oh, she's a crazy woman and she's always hanging out with these crazy people and stuff? Or what was the reasoning for them even flying over and seeing all that stuff? Were they just checking things out and said, oh, this lady, she's running for Congress? Do you think that had anything to do with it?
So that's one of the things that I wanted to know. What prompted a helicopter to be flown? And are they just willy-nilly flying all over the state, randomly hoping they stumble upon a marijuana grow? If that's the case, see, what really bothers me, there's a lot of things that bother me in this, but what really bothers me is, public opinion towards cannabis has changed. Whether it's cultivating hemp or cultivating cannabis for personal or recreational uses. So do we still stand by while hundreds of thousands of dollars are being used to supposedly go after marijuana, alleged marijuana grows? Because that money, our schools our Missouri teachers are one of the lowest paid teachers in the nation. We have the highest women's incarceration rate in the nation. 75% of the women up here at WERDCC are in there for nonviolent drug-only offenses with a 70% recidivism rate. Don't we think this money going after a nonviolent, victimless crime would be better served on education and rehabilitation to make people not, help people not become drug addicts or not be dependent upon an alternative substance? And our education system to help our students become, productive members of society, as with rehabilitation as well. I'm more frustrated that Clay Chisholm and the Sheriff's Department teamed up with the Mustang Task Force and are doing this in the wake of the fact that medical marijuana just passed in this state. But that's what I believe regulation does. It allows you to say, oh, this person paid to play and this person didn't. So I'm not saying that we were growing marijuana. We were not growing marijuana. I'm not saying that we did any of that. I'm just saying, is this really what we want? And is this really the direction we want to be going in?
Well, you bring up a great point, Adela, because on top of the fact, and we are in, I think, full agreement here on the show. We talk about it all the time. Places that have decriminalized I go even further and say we should decriminalize all drugs and the war on drugs immediately. Look at it as a health problem, not a criminal problem. But we can take it a step further. A rape kit DNA test about $200. Testing a cannabis plant to see if it's cannabis, $1,800 to $3,800. And Missouri currently has 5,000 untested rape kits. So what they choose to spend their time on is absolutely mind-boggling. Can we talk a little bit about your politics? Maybe which side of the fence that you lean. You sound like you're a pretty liberty-minded candidate. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I am. It's funny you say that because I tell people all the time, just color me purple. And humor, and it may not be funny to people that are really right, and really left. But that's not what I think politics is about. I don't think politics is about a party line. I think it's about a common sense approach and being able to compromise. So when I tell people I'm a constitutional Republican, and they go, well, what does that mean? That means that I'm willing and able to step outside of my party line and read what the Constitution says and read it for what it is, and then take that approach back and take that mentality and take that and say, hey, what about what this beautiful piece of paper says? Why don't we go back to, when you come at situations with respect and understanding and compassion and empathy and, just common sense, instead of just shutting your mind off because that person can be on the other aisle, we end up with a government body that we have today that absolutely nothing is getting done. Meanwhile, every 36 seconds, someone in the United States of America is arrested for cannabis with a 99% conviction rate, a nationwide 99% conviction rate. So it's time that we take a non-punitive approach, and so those are some of the things that I stand for. But I don't only just stand for, cannabis. I'm not just a one issue person. Like I said, I've been advocating for judicial reform. I've been really open about all of the issues, whether or not they're controversial to people, because I hope that people don't go, I disagree with her stance, therefore I'm voting for the other guy or the other girl, and not even knowing what that other person stands for. Because I guarantee you're not going to get from career politicians, hey, what is your stance on something like immigration or Second Amendment or, so some of the real core topics I don't believe you're going to get from them because, well, they're career politicians. They're worried about making sure they're elected next year or next 2 years or next 4 years or whatever it may be. And so that's why I'm running for Congress, because I really want to see change and I want to be the change that I want to see.
I love that. Some of the first shows around here, we tried to give Austin Peterson as much of a platform as we could. When he jumped from the Libertarian Party to the Republican Party as a constitutional Republican, and then we watched the Missouri Republican Party railroad their best liberty candidate in favor of Mitch McConnell's handpicked candidate. And so I guess the reason I asked that question and kind of which way you lean is, and I don't want to put you in a bad spot or anything, but I feel as though just seeing other liberty-minded candidates in this state, it's really hard to be that voice in the Republican Party, to remind them that we actually do stand for constitutional principles and for the sovereignty of the individual. I just wonder if there's not something there. Like, how has the Republican Party received you in the state?
Asked me not to run. I've been contacted by 3 people from the GOP, and and asked me. You said, "Hey, will you run as a libertarian, or will you not run, or are you're more independent, or why don't you run as a constitutionalist?" So yeah, it's been hard, right? But going against an incumbent and upsetting the establishment is it's taboo per se, and I'm not going to Congress to make friends. I want to go to Congress to enact change. So no, I haven't been accepted. I've been invited to women minority events and asked to leave my dreadlocks at home. So
you can do
I
that?
did it. Yeah, and I'm not.
I didn't know they were accessory.
Yeah, and I had to remind them that, would it be better if I showed up with the shaved head,
Yeah, exactly. Sinead style with a picture of the Pope.
Yeah, but, it's all in good sense of humor, because if you have to have thick skin. I mean, people are opinionated, and you know what? They're frustrated. And so I understand that, and they want answers. And I'm making myself available to people. So therefore I'm putting myself in a position where I'm going to get some of the backlash. And I understand that it's not entirely directed at me. It's just easy. I'm just easier because I'm there, because you're not going to be able to talk to Blaine Lutenmeyer about the issues that are bothering you. He won't call you back. He started his career politician adventures in 1998. I was 21 years old then. I'm 42 years old. And if we don't allow new people to get into Congress or to get into state positions, we're going to be stuck with the same thing. I find it ironic some of the candidates that you see up there currently on the Democratic side, advocating for change, but they've been in office for 30 years. Why haven't we done it yet? Why haven't you done it now? Like, why is all of a sudden these issues important to you and you haven't done anything about it 10, 15, or 30 years ago? And that's what I'm tired of. So I'm also a federally recognized Native American, so I'm super excited to be the first Native American to be running for District 3. And so I just really believe I have a lot of different perspectives to bring to Congress. From, I didn't walk for 4 years on my own. So I understand the need for fixing our medical system, and I understand the need for having an IND program, like a compassionate use program enact for people that want to use an alternative medicine. And I just see it, and I see what's necessary, and I just would really like to bring that change to Congress. And I think people are ready for it, and I don't think it should be that hard to beat an incumbent. And I do believe that. I know that money is a big issue, but it shouldn't be. It really shouldn't be. And it'd be nice if we could take money out of politics and listen to people's platforms and issues and ideas about what they think they can do to bring change in.
Adela, that is so awesome. You're speaking our language. You're speaking the sophisticated Hoosiers language. We love to hear it. We love to see, different people just testing the limits of what we can do as people. And, you got my vote, but that was solely because you got naked for the drones.
I was about to say,
that's one of the most badass things of all time. I'm like, damn right. Then you call them perverts afterwards. Like, what are you just looking at? What are you perverts looking at? So that
what my
that was
biggest
awesome.
fear is, right? So this is all supposed to be public information. Are they going to release that footage? Are you for real?
It might get you elected.
Yeah,
it makes
exactly.
Kim Kardashian a billionaire, so you're in good shape.
Your approval ratings will go through the roof. It'll be great. Adela, thank you so much. Give our listening audience how we can find you. I know you're on Facebook. Your Adela Wisdom for Congress on Facebook is a great follow. I love to see you out there. Tell our listeners any other ways they can get a hold of you.
Yeah, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You can follow me on all of them. I have a webpage, adelawisdom.com. Email me, adela.wisdom@gmail.com. Better yet, call me, 573-310-9125. Questions, comments, concerns, whatever it is you want to know, I'm here and I'm available to you and to every single person in the state of Missouri. So thank you all for having me on.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Adela. You did us
awesome.
proud. You did us proud.
You did.
Y'all have a great day.
All right, you too.
I like you better than Craig's.
Nice little
That was awesome. She said
nice
that,
little
yeah.
conversation with Adela. She's very well spoken. And
you said you hated her
I
beforehand.
did. I
remember
said
that?
she's the worst. No, she was
Like, men
fantastic. And I'll
rule.
tell you what, if you watched the raid video, she asked all the right questions.
Yep.
And if you've ever been in the position, I'm speaking personally here, where you're getting pulled over by the cops,
Greg,
it's just natural. Like the nerves take over, and you're like, even if you didn't do
Really?
anything wrong,
Because I'm
like,
just hanging my idea out the window, like,
oh no, yeah,
no, are you kidding me? I am pooping my pants. I can't walk afterwards because my legs like.
and she's
And even if I
informing
don't
them-
have anything on me,
Right.
I'm just so
Totally.
used to it.
Totally. Well, because anymore it doesn't feel like that's never been the case. If like when we were kids playing street hockey or something like that, the cops would roll down the street, they'd give us like some baseball cards or whatever. They were always cool.
What?
That didn't happen to you guys?
No, not everyone grew up in Mayberry. Okay?
Yeah.
I grew up in Dutchtown,
I
baby.
know.
Hamburger and
I
Merrimack.
know.
How about some baseball cards? Meanwhile, I'm
they
getting
did.
beat up for having a skateboard.
They did. Yeah. No,
Like,
like
dude, back in the
You
day,
like-
that's a kind of discrimination there. That's a skater.
No
stuff.
doubt.
I mean, you could ride a bicycle, you could rollerblade, razor scooter. If you have a skateboard, $25 ticket.
Oh, are we really going to do this?
Why?
Are we really going to do this?
Anyway,
Why did they pick the one thing?
The point is you want to be compliant. You want to be
I wasn't
respectful.
lying.
You feel like if you show a cop maybe some respect, you'll get some mutual respect. And
Yeah.
they'd probably get off maybe with a warning or something like that. But she was very assertive. She was very respectful, but very assertive. Let them know exactly where they could
No
and couldn't
doubt.
go on the property.
She did a
It
good
was
job.
it was really inspiring watching how she handled herself. And I think it'd be kind of cool to have somebody in state Congress,
Me
running
too.
running in a party that is notoriously anti-drug or
anti-fun.
Yeah, fun police.
Yeah. No, I thought she did an excellent job. She was, doing a good job keeping her cool. She did an excellent job of being white. I thought that was another thing she did. Great job.
Yeah, she was the wrong kind of white though.
Yeah.
She's got dreads.
I know. They were
she talked about like sovereignty.
lived in the woods. Yeah, they're like, we don't like that one.
Like, I like freedom. I have guns. Like,
you're not a good one.
She's a bad wife.
Brought to you by Lifetime Roofing.
Roof. Guys, they do exterior
They'll
work.
do exterior
They'll
work.
do
What do you
exterior
want?
work. And you know what? If the cops show up at your place to raid the joint, they're probably going to stop for a second. Hey, look, that's siding.
Yeah, that's
is that
straight as
James
siding.
Hardy board?
Yeah,
That is nice siding. Hit them up, 314-800-0426. Just go Google them. They're the best in the roofing and exterior game. LifetimeSTL.com.
Yep, that's what they do.
That's what they do. We're gonna have to jump to break here in a minute, but let's start this relationship talk a little bit.
Okay,
all right. Let's talk about this relationship because it's tough. It's tough sometimes, but sometimes I feel like you get into the flow state. I always feel like communication is obviously it's key, right? We were a gal that I work with got married this past weekend, and we were all sitting around, and we're having lunch, and it was like a little potluck thing just to kind of see her off for the next week. She's going on her honeymoon and everything. And they're like, okay, what's one piece of advice from all the married people,
Oh, no.
I'm just like, don't be me. Don't be me. No, but the owner of my company, he said something really great. And I've always kind of admired his relationship with his wife.
He's like, just shut up, put your head down.
No,
don't
he
think
said,
nothing.
you know what?
Wait
He
to
said,
die.
every decision that you're approached with, just try and think about what your partner would want out of that decision first, and then kind of work backwards. Put your partner first, think about what would make them happy. Not necessarily do that thing, but at least be mindful of that.
Was his wife right there listening?
No, she
to
wasn't.
The answer?
That was what was awesome. She wasn't there. And I'll tell you what, like,
is he microchipped so that she can hear everything?
Possibly, it's possible. But I think that it all starts with communication, right? It all starts with communicating not only effectively and respectfully, but also communicating your wants, your needs, your desires effectively.
It is that simple. You live with someone who knows the love languages. Have you done the love language thing?
I try.
Have you read the book or like?
Oh,
studied?
sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that was, you know me, I'm always like, whatever with the hippy dippy stuff, even though I love it, I'm living it. I just always kind of have to be skeptical and kind of, I make fun of myself for loving it so much. I do believe in the mystical stuff, but it's ridiculous. Like I'm a very science-based guy, but also like, oh, there's magic. There's magic in the air. But the love languages, I think that's huge. It's part of the communicating, even if the love languages are just a step in the right direction, understanding that people feel love and perceive love and give love in different ways, and some ways might work better for others. And I thought that was kind of interesting because I'm with you. I remember being like in college and I was like, oh, communication is key. Oh my God.
It sounds
I
cliche,
should write
but
that down.
Yeah.
And then I searched Google and there are like 800 billion references to that. And I was like, oh, well, it's
But I mean,
something.
that's
something.
there for, there's 800 billion
Yeah.
references for a reason.
I don't know
right?
if that
Like,
was a real number.
I
I'm just saying
understand.
that.
But the point is
don't hold me to that.
Okay,
that's what I'm saying.
the level of communication, not only, and the thing is like, it doesn't stop even when you, even especially when things aren't turbulent in your relationship. Like if things all seem good, there's still a level of communication that needs to kind of be maintained in order to keep things good. Otherwise, little things kind of fester, they become big things, and they weren't even that big of a deal to begin with. They come out during the goofiest disagreements. I'm speaking, personally for myself here. Like,
all right,
a lot of things are not a big deal to me.
What does your partner do that really pees you off, man? Let's get into it. I'm kidding. I was joking. I wasn't expecting you to even.
Well,
neither one of them listened.
They were
every week.
listening. They're all listening, Craig.
Yeah, no,
don't
that's
say
okay,
anything.
though.
Are you
That's
kidding
okay,
me?
That's okay. I would try to think of that. I would always, I would just maintain that like that's the first level. And the love languages things. The love languages thing is a.
I just want to pause for a minute. I think I'm watching you actively get a rash on your face. Are you watching? Are you seeing anything that this is going on? It started as two little red lines, and now it's creeping its way halfway down your cheek. I'm not even
like a
kidding.
spider bite or something?
Do you see that? It's something is going on.
Are you
Because
serious?
you put them on the spot. It's
No,
a
no,
reaction.
No, it's not at all.
Right
It
here?
started. It looked like someone. I thought someone gave you a kiss, like on the cheek. It had 2 red lines, and now it's connected and it's going down. I just wanted you to be aware of it.
Yeah, it's probably
okay,
something
well, if
serious,
I-
but we still got a half hour.
If I happen to fall out,
Yeah, I just wanted you to be aware.
Make sure you get it on camera. Is all I'm saying. This might be our chance to go viral. This might be, if I go out, just let me know.
Remember that dude died on that.
The
radio?
love
That
languages
was
thing
nuts.
is huge, man, because for me, I think I'm a words of affirmation guy. I think that my partner is an acts of service person.
Yeah.
And
do you know the love languages offhand? Are there 5?
acts of service, words of affirmation, gift giving, why am I
fellatio? Can I say that?
Naturally.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure you
Yes.
can.
Yes.
Help me out, babe.
Say whatever you want.
Oh, I was bitten by
Just
I was
everybody just
bitten by
go around and
something
say
today.
whatever you want.
You were?
Yeah. Babe, help me out. I need the other 2.
Why was that not
it-
the first thing to come to mind when somebody
Because
actually
it just
brought
didn't
it
seem
up?
like that big of a deal. It didn't seem like something we
I
needed
don't.
to talk
I don't know
about.
if it's getting worse or if
Stung
it's,
by a scorpion.
Yeah, Mike broke his finger. It seemed like a funnier story. I don't know. So anyway, if someone were to gift giving doesn't when I don't really care to receive gifts. I'm certainly appreciative of them if someone
unless it's really
took some
really nice.
Yeah, but even then,
Like a
it just
car.
doesn't. Okay.
Somebody said you've been scratching the hell out of your arm since they've been watching.
I have been.
Oh yeah, you're all
I might be,
yeah.
Am I dying?
What's going on?
Well, we got 30 minutes left, so you have to tough it out.
It's all
I'm not
good.
doing this show with Steve.
That's
I'll be
a
fine.
terrible
What you
idea.
been watching?
I don't know. What are you watching?
New South Park Wednesday.
Oh yeah, I think they're putting them all on Netflix too.
I'm starting to itch.
Are you?
No, I'm just watching.
You're freaking me out.
It's fine. It's like,
We'll
hey,
go on with
let's have an
relationship.
intimate conversation about love and
Listen,
relationships. And Craig's slowly
let's-
breaking out into a rash. Like,
I know.
I think the important thing here is you got to remember to scratching away.
Let's jump to a quick break. We'll pick it
Okay,
up
get
on
some
the other side.
calamine lotion.
Are you
I
freaking
think
out?
I'm gonna go hit an EpiPen or something. I'm not really sure what's happening.
Have you tried cannabis?
We love you guys. Thanks for sticking around. We're going to talk about relationships on the other side. Maybe get some new album picks. Talk about our
Oh, yeah,
albums
we
that
got
we
these
had
mountain
going on.
picks if you're around.
We'll do that if I'm still alive. And if I'm not, it's been a good run, guys. Trying to keep the rubber side down and just know that I've always loved you. Fuck my,
Drop
that. My legs are scratching.
He's
Dump that.
so bad.
I'm just stressing a little bit, guys. I'm freaking out.
During taking us into break.
Taking you into break.
F my life.
I gotta go.
This is Hoosier
Guys, it's
Sophisticate.
been real. It's
You
been
want me to do
awesome. I'm out of here. No. On the other side of the break, we're going to have a little bit of fun. This is Hoosier Sophisticate on WGNU920am.com. Stick around.
Hey Hoosiers, Greg Kohler here. With home buying season heating up, be sure to get a quote from a top agency and provider of the #1 home insurer in North America. They offer coverage that's second to none. In fact, if your AC goes out, they offer a new endorsement where you can get a replacement from a local HVAC company. Give them a call, 314-961-4800. If you get a machine and you don't talk to a person, we'll give you one of these fine Hoosier Sophisticate tees. Just takes one phone call or apply online at carltoninsurance.net. People do business with James because they like and trust him. Just check him out on Google and Facebook. If your insurance is costing you a leg and an arm, then call James Carlton State Farm.
Hey girl, where you wanna go?
I don't care, I just love you.
Are you hungry? Do you wanna get something to eat?
I don't care, I'm kinda hungry.
Well, what sounds good?
Anything sounds good, you pick.
How about some Mexican?
No, I had that for lunch yesterday.
How about we get some Italian food?
Ew.
Okay, now you're not saying anything and just
I
giving me
just
a
want
look.
something delicious.
What does that even mean?
I want to sit outside.
Applebee's?
Applebee's
No,
is
Applebee's.
gross.
is
I'm not eating
good.
Applebee's.
I don't know why you're
Applebee's
always
fries
on
are
Applebee's.
disgusting.
Applebee's is one of
They're
my favorite darn
gross.
places to go ever.
I'm not eating Applebee's.
I wanna go to Truman. Let's go to Truman. Tonight, go to Truman. I wanna go to Truman. Tonight, take me to Truman. We agree on Truman. I love Truman. Tonight, I love Truman.
Lord. Truman, 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 Truman. Truman's and Soulard, a place we can all agree upon.
Shut up, you idiot.
Lifetime. Jill. It lasts a lifetime. Come on. It lasts a lifetime. Yep. And just go Google it. I'm gonna let those shingles down, girl, for you. I'm gonna let those shingles down, boy, for you. I'm gonna do some siding, get you excited. James Hardy siding. Google it.
You know I make your neighbors cry, cry. Boo, cause we tell all the leaks go by. And you know we all do the side.
Party boy, yeah. Guys, Lifetime Roofing. They're the best roofers in the game. Best customer service. LifetimeSTL.com. Google them. Hey girl, where you wanna go? I don't care, I just love you. Are you hungry? Do you wanna get something to eat? I don't care, I'm kinda hungry. Well, what sounds good? Anything sounds good, you pick. How about some Mexican? No, I had that for lunch yesterday. How about we get some Italian food? Ew. Okay, now you're not saying anything. You're just giving me a look. Something delicious. What does that even mean? I want to sit outside. Applebee's? Applebee's? No, Applebee's. I'm not eating
good.
Applebee's.
I don't know why you're
Applebee's
always
fries
on
are
Applebee's.
disgusting.
Applebee's is one of
They're
my favorite darn
gross.
places to go ever.
I'm not eating Applebee's. I want to go to Truman. Let's go to Truman. Soulard, go to Truman. I want to go to Truman. It's Soulard, take me to Truman. We agree on Truman. I love Truman. Soulard, I love Truman. Soulard, Truman, Truman, Truman's and Soulard, a place we can all agree upon.
Shut up, you idiot.
James Carlton Insurance 314-961-4800.
Handsome, amazing, astonishing,
Astounding,
fabulous,
incredible,
fantastical,
phenomenal,
prodigious,
stupendous,
unbelievable,
wondrous,
divine.
fantastical.
No, seriously, he's fantastical.
You got a house.
Go on and get it insured.
You got a car.
You gotta get it insured.
You got a life.
Go on and get it insured. CarltonInsurance.net.
Fantastic. Stupendous. Fantastic.
This is the Brian Stoll Show.
Former Blues defenseman Barrett Jackman with us, and please tell me you got a chance to raise that cup over your head and give it a big fat kiss.
Once we got back to St. Louis, I ran home. I got my kid out of bed. Got to share pretty special moment with him in the Enterprise Center, and me and Bobby Fleischer, my son, raised together. So that was pretty cool for me.
The Brian Stoll Show, weekdays at noon on WGNU.
Toads have been found which do secrete DMT-like compounds. There are many chemical compounds in nature which are psychoactive, but a much narrower spectrum of these compounds are truly what we call psychedelic or mind manifesting.
Let's take a trip, St. Louis, with Hoosier Sophisticate Radio, presented by Mycelio Media. Now we're throwing it back to Stephen Elgin and Craig Kohler. Now water your brain and watch it grow, 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 grow.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Hoosier Sophisticate here on WGNU 920 a.m. It's kind of it's on fire. It's fly. It's 9:20 a.m. It's WGNU 9:20 a.m. You put a .com behind it, you can hear it anywhere in the world. You can stream us live on Facebook Live or Mycelio Media on YouTube. We're talking about relationships.
Yeah,
I was telling you something that the my boss, gave as good advice, and I couldn't agree more. I feel as though the biggest key to great communication between you and a partner is constantly searching for perspective, right? If you can kind of approach any disagreements, really trying to put yourself in the shoes of the person that's trying to make a point, it typically makes it a little bit easier to understand and then navigate from there. And I feel like I can tie that into psychedelic experiences. Sometimes I like to make it super weird. My buddy Greg does anyway. And because the weirder it gets, the bigger your perspective gets on just even the most, normal or what would be perceived as normal happenings in life. You get just a little bit more perspective on it. So I feel like just the constant search for perspective typically makes for better communication. The other two acts of service are physical touch and quality time. Okay. And I think that, all of us, all of the love languages serve us in some capacity, right? Like if one of those things is lacking from a relationship for too long, if there hasn't been physical touch for a long time, it's something that you certainly begin to crave. Personally, for me,
I'll just rub up against
the
stuff.
gift giving thing misses me a little bit. It's not super important to me out of all of them, but I love words of affirmation. I'm a Leo. I like to have the ego stroked every now and then.
Unless the gift is a beach.
Killing me tonight. Absolutely murdering me. That's fine. I don't think anybody pays attention to us.
What would you say is something that you bring into your relationship, Steve?
Well, Craig, when people have relationship problems, they go to me. They say,
naturally.
Steve, you got it figured out. What do you do? What do you and Jen do? Because you guys got it all. You guys got you spinning the world by the tail. That's what they usually say to me. And I got to tell you, one of the things that that I think, the best thing you can do in a relationship is learn how to laugh at each other and laugh at your own things. Learn how to realize that, oh, I'm an idiot, and oh, you're kind of an idiot too sometimes. Let's laugh at how dumb we can be.
Yeah.
And if you can keep a lighthearted sense of that and really keep it to, oh, I'm mad because you didn't do the laundry. And it's like, well, I could do it, and all these like little things that kind of stress you out. Little things like the money, you can kind of have like a, I want to say a Roseanne-esque approach to it, to where they were in the poorhouse, but it always seemed like they always had a one-liner and stuff. So we try to bring that vibe because we're poor. So, laugh at yourselves, have a good sense of humor about the whole thing, and then just love. Yeah. Just love it.
For sure.
Whatever you think it is, whatever that means to you, just do it.
I think telling the truth at all times, even when it's uncomfortable. I think even when it's uncomfortable.
It's a bad idea.
It really that's the whole. It all comes back to communication, but you can really kind of dial in certain skills.
I straight up tell Jen.
Anybody has any experience with open relationships, but they're extremely difficult. It's like it's the most challenging thing you can do with your love life, and part of that is because in an open relationship, the communication has to be just hugely spot on. The feelings that could possibly fester into negative feelings, those are things you got to get out and say, I'm not sure how to approach this, but this is how this is making me feel. So having been in an open relationship, it definitely taught me a lot of patience and taught me a lot of communication. And so I kind of try to apply that now to a monogamous relationship, and it's, certainly helps out a bunch.
Love, man.
Steve looked at me like
it's a lot of coveting and a lot of love. And I think an open relationship will make you realize that love isn't coveting something,
isn't possessive, right?
Yes.
We talked about that a little bit the other day. Yeah.
But that's a tough one. That's a tough one because I think in our society, even just a small St. Louis society, it's like my gal, that's my gal. Go get married. That's your girl. That's your high school sweetheart. That's your gal. There's one you married and or met in college. That's your girl. That's my girl. And then, I remember being, we were kids in the 90s when I feel like the divorce epidemic kind of started to really make headlines, I guess, 50% of marriages are failing. And I remember when my parents first got divorced when I was in grade school in 6th grade, most people said, "Oh, I'm very sorry to hear that. I know it's crazy. You're the first, first one out of grade school. And are you okay?" And I'm like, "Dude, 2 Christmases? Get up off me, yo! Get up off me, 2 Christmases." So that was kind of nice. But then when I got to high school, I remember people's parents were together, and it almost had a vibe of, "Oh, dude, your parents are still together? Yeah. How?" "Oh, well, my dad sleeps on the couch every night. My mom sleeps in a bedroom," and they kind of have this understanding of, well, wait till the kids are 18 and then we can either really start living, or some of those parents felt the need to be like, we got to get divorced when the kids are 18. It's like, really?
Yeah,
they can handle
tough it out for a
while. And if love isn't possessive, right? And if you really truly love your partner with everything you got, the primary goal in that relationship is to help them realize their ultimate happiness, and hopefully you fit into that picture. It would be it seems like a strange concept to me that now I certainly would encourage people to fight through the hard times and try and figure out what it is that you love about each other to keep pushing
forward.
Yeah,
because weren't you saying something about happiness can kind of come from the darkest times too?
Sure.
That
Absolutely.
have to go through that to really realize the good times. So
No
maybe
doubt.
that's part of the journey. I feel like that was a thing. A lot of couples are so quick to say, "Oh, it's done."
Right.
But I'm I have a theory that
love's worth fighting for.
Yeah, and the more crazy you can get somebody, the more you can despise them is almost as much as you can love them too. So you pay attention to how that pendulum swings.
Yeah, passion looks weird because it applies to both love and hate.
For sure.
And so, I just feel like, it's one of those things where it would be very strange and foreign to me to want to hold somebody in a relationship that didn't ultimately fill their cup, because you had this idea, this pact. I mean, I don't know, it's just one of those things where that's where that communication comes in, and you may come to a point in your life, where it's like, maybe this doesn't make sense for either one of us anymore. I don't know. It's just, it's something to always be communicating with your partner and talk about the way things make you feel. And if you can't talk to the person that you love above all else, then, where is that going to fester? Where are those words that aren't being relayed to anybody?
They will. They'll fester somewhere.
For sure.
Somewhere.
So,
no, that takes me back to the MDMA talk earlier.
Yeah.
I think it's MAPS is doing couples studies right now with couples.
Okay.
Like couples therapy.
That might be fun.
Is that true? Did I make
looking
that
for
up?
researchers?
MAPS is doing couples
Yes, they
therapy?
are.
Yeah. Which I was like, okay.
A lot of the subjects that are
It's just Rick
going
Doblin
to
watching them
use
bone,
MDMA,
which is weird. He's coming on the show.
MDMA.
Play him that clip.
It's typically the people that are taking it for PTSD or depression. A lot of the studies there's a lot of anxiety with partners who their partner is about to go through these things. They're afraid that they're going to have this, this epiphany under the influence that ultimately is going to leave them behind. And so they're seeing with MDMA and whatnot, if they can maybe bring the partner along for it, they can have this thing that kind of heals whatever wound exists between the two of them, possibly as a result of this wound that this one partner was carrying, or both of them were carrying something different. And it was kind of attacking their relationship, their connected being.
Instead of fighting, they're licking each other's faces. It's a pretty nice little transition. We got some thoughts on the text line here on Facebook and Mycelial Media YouTube. Cohabitating a home until the kids can support themselves can make sense and can work given the right circumstances. When people get divorced, I always say, congratulations.
funny thing, I'm a big jokester when it comes to that too. Like somebody's like, "Oh, I just got divorced." I'm like, "Oh man,
They're probably really happy.
Tell me how you did it." You know, just like
Depends on what party they were.
Oh
if
yeah,
they were blindsided by it or not.
I did that to an Uber driver, and I was like,
Uh-oh.
"All right, freedom, am I right, bro?" And he's like,
Yeah.
We will.
He just starts crying.
It
And pulls
totally-
over. He
he
pulls
was-
over. He's just sitting there crying for 10 minutes. You're back there like, hey, I do gotta kind of get to.
I feel like
the airport.
I feel like this is a segment that we can really have some fun with and maybe all grow out of. But we have been doing something for the last month or so. Do you have something you wanted to add?
I just want to. You completely skipped over my area, the
Yeah.
single guys.
Okay.
And I'm
nobody
gonna tell
cares.
you, I'm no expert, but there's some things I just know they're just concrete.
Okay.
All right. Nice guys finished last. Quit being a panty waste. Quit going on Facebook and talking about being single to try to get attention. Quit trying to feel sorry for yourself, because every time you read one of those, you're just like, oh gosh. And the girls read that, and the only thing they're hearing in their head is something's wrong with me. Do you want to find out what it is? That's what they're reading when they see stuff like that.
Okay.
Quit over complimenting. And quit. You're beautiful. I like it. Just shut up. Shut up. Don't compliment somebody on how they look. You compliment somebody on what they do.
Fair enough.
Something
You
they've
guys heard it here
accomplished.
first. You guys heard it here.
She
first.
knows her eyes are nice. She sees them all the time. She's born like that. She can't even help it.
She only sees them.
It doesn't even matter.
She actually
her
sees,
eyes
she
all
sees
the
reflection
time.
of her eyes.
Well, you know,
Sees her-
well, they check their makeup all the time.
Keep going with this. No, I like where
Oh,
this
they
is
do.
going.
It's fine.
I like where
Just
this
a
is
thing.
going. That's what they
Okay.
do.
Anyway,
That's what they
but I
do.
just
That's what
wanted to
makeup
say
on.
that.
I like it.
fellas,
Nice
I'm
guys
going to start
finish
doing
last.
single fellas
I like it. And put it to sleep.
advice.
How are you not
How to
married
put it to
yet?
sleep.
That's
Teach
what
them
I
how
want to know.
to teach them how to put it to sleep.
You know, I just don't want to put the work in. They want to do stuff. Like, let's go kayaking.
Listen,
I think we should talk.
we had
you
a,
don't do anything.
And then talk again after your kayaking trip.
we have just a little bit of time left. We've been doing something over the course of the past month. We're going to skip the streaming picks this week.
What?
We're going to get back into our album picks.
Okay.
It's been a couple weeks to listen to everybody. Mike, why don't you play along this week with us and give us an album that we got to listen to, if you could think of one. And if not, whatever.
I got to
What are
listen
you-
to
what are you doing
another
on the show?
album. I got songs I want to listen to, guys.
Here's what we're going to do.
This week wasn't as bad.
Recapping. I guess I'll go ahead and go first. I had a chance to listen to everybody's albums. I liked everybody's albums. They were all good this week. They're all worth a listen. Steve, yours was great. Couldn't find it anywhere, but you gave me that CD. I had a nice long drive, was able to knock it out, and one drive was like 12 songs, maybe 13 songs.
Yeah.
Really great. Kind of had that. I don't even want to say it had a Sublime feel. It did. It had the feel, kind of that Long Beach style, but it was really good, man. I really enjoyed it quite a bit, and I thought that Seth's was quite similar. So we had Rude Punch, and then the name of yours was
Scotty Don't.
Scotty Don't. Both really good albums, guys. I really appreciate them a lot. And then Scotty had Hoosier, which I'd heard his singles before. I gotta say, I was a little ignorant to how good of a guitar player that Hoosier is, because his first couple hits were really vocal heavy, and he's got almost a haunting voice.
He's Irish.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed all of them.
His
very
version
much.
of When Irish Eyes Are Smiling is just, oh.
What about Oh Danny Boys? Pretty good with that.
Thank you.
Pretty good with that one.
Yep.
So anyway, guys, well done on all your picks. I enjoyed
Thank
everybody's
you,
picks.
Craig.
Yeah.
That means a lot to us, because
I'm
you liking what we do.
I know
is what we live
Oh,
for.
You gotta be validated somehow.
Do you have a album?
Do you have one
for
now?
this week?
Yeah. Do you have one for us now?
Is that, oh yeah. I was supposed to.
We're gonna go ahead and give mine now.
Oh, we want to do that at the end?
Or I thought we would just go through and do them at the end. We'll keep them.
All right, we'll do it at the end.
Okay, that's fine.
All right, Seth, what do you think of all the albums?
Scott's pick. Thanks for getting me back, for making you listen to Hum. No, I didn't hate it. I didn't hate it. It's not necessarily something I'm going to listen to again. I'll give credit where it's due. It's a talented group of dudes. Just, some songs were a little boring.
I think,
I think there's a song called Run on that album I really liked. Track 9, maybe. Ran or Run. I thought that was a pretty cool song. But outside of that,
no.
Could have sworn maybe I listened to the wrong album, but I thought it was boring. Whatever it was. Steve's pick, I loved it.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, I had Craig just handed me a burnt CD, so I don't even know what the songs are called, but I know 4 and track 5 I think was my favorite. Track
Definitely.
5 was awesome.
Definitely. 5
it's
was
playing
one that gets
right
played.
now. Like if you turn my SUV on, it's blasting.
Dude,
So
that's
I listened to that
awesome.
on the way to the show.
Cool.
I didn't listen to yours because I have it I know it front to back. It's
Perfect Circle, 13th Step.
The Noose, amazing song.
One of my favorite songs
Blue
ever
is one of
written.
my favorite songs.
Follows it up. Yep.
That's probably my favorite out of all the
APC
picks
albums.
we did. So.
Oh, right on. Cool, man. Right on. Glad you liked it.
Scott?
Oh, I thought Seth's was great. Rude Punch. I thought that was probably the best. I liked yours too. It was like Craig said, it was kind of similar.
Yeah.
And I agree with his pick too. I was like, I know The Perfect Circle. I used to listen to that album all the time. Like, I really like The Outsider.
It's a great, it's a solid, what was I going to say here? What did it come out? Like 2003, maybe?
Yeah.
Something like that. What I liked about it is just every track is a little different. You know what I mean? I kind of picked it with Steve in mind because he was poo-pooing Tool a little bit, but I also understood why, because Tool's kind of got a sound. You know what I mean? So I was like, all right, I'm going to show you what Maynard can really do. Steve, what did you think, buddy?
Rude Punch. I liked every song on the album. I went and just.
It's great to see. It's great to see you two come together on music. Too,
I know, this
because
is a magical
typically
moment.
you're on the other end of the spectrum.
This week, admittedly, I tried to please Steve on this one. I was like, I bet you I can find something he can like.
Yeah,
and I was like, that's the first thing that came to my mind.
When I heard it, I go, man, I took Scotty Don't out of my CD player, and then I listened to yours next. I actually started A Perfect Circle when I went to bed at night, which was a cool idea. Like, that's a great CD to kind of just let myself go at night. Loved your CD. Scotty, Hoosier is awesome. My favorite songs are obviously, Take Me to Church is I think one of the best songs ever. But Jackie and Wilson, as far as blues tracks go,
that was a really good one.
Jackie and Wilson, something like Rhythm and Blues or whatever. It's a phenomenal song. Even Angel's Small Death, like that's an interesting, haunting song, very haunting voice, like you said. And then Perfect Circle. I'm in.
Cool.
I'm in. Like Tool, I did not get. I tried to listen to 3 or 4 times. I get some of their songs. I really liked The Package. I really liked Noose. And I think it's either maybe The Nurse Who Loved Me or Pet somewhere at the end.
That's my walk-up music.
Okay. Because there's like, yes. It's just got a great, kind of like F
Nurse Who Loved Me is very
to
slow,
it.
yeah.
Okay. It's not that
written
slow.
by Nurse Who Loved Me is
Failure.
actually written by a band called Failure that I introduced you to.
Loved it.
You like the original version of that thing? That's pretty rad.
Yeah.
It's got some great lulls you in and then hits you with a and I love that chunky. The sound of the guitar makes on Hoosier is my all-time favorite guitar noise an amp can make, and the sounds that they had coming out of the guitar
Billy Howard
and the
does
bass,
an unbelievable guitar.
just a very
bassist is
neat-
James Eha from Smashing Pumpkins.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Just the sounds that they were making, like whatever pedals they had, very, very cool. Very
Glad you liked it.
Journey music for sure.
Right on. All right, so let's give everybody a new album to listen to for the next couple weeks. I feel a little bad because I threw this one at you on our trip to Michigan, but I'm going to throw it out there again because actually I don't know if we got all the way through it or not. I'm not going to turn you all into spongoloids, but my pick this week is going to be Alt J, and the album is going to be An Awesome Wave. I think you guys will really dig it. It's one that you can listen to front to back, and once again, a lot of different sounds. The vocals are all very similar, but the music is all very different. So Alt J and Awesome Wave.
We listened to a little bit of that on our trip, and I second that notion for all of our listeners. That is a phenomenal. I don't know if we got through the whole album.
We got close.
Ooh,
Yeah,
it has got some absolute unique new pieces of art. The music is art. It's awesome.
What's your pick this week, brother?
Mine is going to be Scatterman and Snug Brim.
Scatterman and Snug Brim.
I went on a little thing.
No clue what that is.
Earlier about Tech Nine. These guys always came out with Tech Nine. The CD is Urban Legends.
Okay.
And my anthem came from this CD. Okay.
Okay.
Number 2. It's called Block Party.
Okay.
It was my college anthem. These guys came out at a Tech Nine show, and they go, and the song goes, "Mo whiskey, mo weed, real sticky, no seeds." And it's
You
just
thought it was the greatest
I
thing
just
ever?
thought it was the best thing ever.
Art, man.
So they go, oh,
Art.
They go, stop the concert, and I'm like, oh, what are they doing?
And they go, we ain't going to keep singing the song till someone brings a blunt on stage.
Oh, my goodness.
And my buddy had just lit one up, Queeb's buddy. And
He just looks at it like, oh.
He runs to the stage, bowling over people and hands it to him.
Knocks out a security guard.
And the guy's like, awesome. And he takes it, and then they start the music back up. And we're kind of waiting
for it to get it back. You're like, no, this is mine now.
I know. And they just kind of
This is mine now. This is the extra payment.
Yes, it was just like a part of the song at that point.
Not to put you guys under the
it's
gun,
so
but we're
good.
up against it. So let's get these next picks out pretty quick.
All right, I went back and forth on a few, but I think you're going to like this one. Portishead live in New York.
Oh, buddy. Nice. I'm
I went with the live one because I love the orchestra in that.
It's
And
one of my
Beth
dreams
singing
to be
over.
able to see them live. They typically only play in Europe. Oh, buddy.
Oh, yeah.
Great pick. Portishead live in New York.
Scotty?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going with Pigeons Playing Ping Pong Psychology.
Pigeons playing ping pong
You guys ever heard of them?
psychology.
No?
I have heard of them.
They're a nice little fun band.
All right.
Psychology. And
I'm
Mike,
changing my pick to Guar.
you're in the game now. Mike, what do you got?
All right, I got Audio Slave Revelations. I don't know if
Okay.
you guys have played that one before, but
You know what? Not front to back. And I
it
love
got me
Audio Slave.
through a pretty hard time. So
Okay, cool. Guys, I'll tell you what.
It's awesome.
We had a chance to go down to Truman's and Soulard.
Truman's.
We went down there, we
Gotta
filmed
go
a little
to
commercial.
Truman's.
Security's reached detective. Your intelligence is under attack. Extracting dark matter. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
We went down to Truman's. We decided to have lunch with our buddy Sam Lyons. Seth was there. We had a chance. All of us tried something different. I don't think anybody had a bad thing to say about the food that they had.
That
If you
steak
haven't had a
sandwich.
chance to go down there, get to Truman's and Soulard. They will take care of you. The food is fantastic. The drink specials are great. And the service is top notch. Brad over there does a great job just running a
Staff's
top-notch establishment. Truman's and Soulard, they're a great sponsor.
That back patio.
I'll let you guys know real quick this week.
Cardinals games too. Hey, Cardinals are doing awesome
Cardinals
right now.
are rocking.
I know we're a Battlehawks themed show, caw, but we do talk to Cardinals here.
Like the Cardinals.
We like the
Cardinals.
And the dang
Guys,
show
real
today.
quick, this weekend is the Missouri Cannabis Art Fair down at the Mad Art Gallery. If you get a chance, get down there. It's 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. September 29th. It's going to be a live glass art competition. Glass artists from all across the state. Competition pieces will be auctioned off in benefit of our friends, Aiden's Alliance.
Heck yeah.
Get down there this weekend. It's going to be a great time. Nick Woodward from Dabstar is going to be there. It's going to be awesome. We got some new sponsors possibly coming up in the stable. We sure appreciate you joining us each and every week, making this thing possible. A lot of good feedback on the relationship talk. Maybe we'll start weaving that in. Guys, we're just trying to bring you the news you're not getting anywhere else. Let's go Cardinals. Let's go Redbirds. The hunt for Red October it's back. We're back, baby.
I know.
Let's do this thing.
Doesn't it kind of feel weird though? You're like, there we go.
Feels
We're back
so
again.
good.
We kicked the Cubs'
Feels
butts.
so good. We just swept them. It doesn't get any better than that, brother. One run wins.
I know.
Every night.
Coming back in
So
the ninth.
good. Guys, this is Hoosier Sophisticate. We love you. Stick around next week. Be well.
Love you.
May do it because it was a very innocent call on both his part and mine. We had a very nice call. It was really a congratulatory call because he had just won. It was just confirmed, and he's the new president.
On Wall Street, the Dow up 15 points, the Nasdaq down 5, the S&P 500 down a fraction of a point. You're listening to USA Radio News.
Do you wish you could get better sleep and maybe lose a few pounds? Maybe more than a few pounds? Well, there's this product called Calitrin that helps with both sleep and weight loss. Just listen to what people are saying about it.
I've been taking Calitrin for right about 3 months, and I've lost 24 pounds and 19 overall inches. But my sleep has improved. I have so much more energy, and I have the desire to succeed more than ever. Anyone who needs weight loss, more energy, and better sleep, this product really does deliver.
I'm Roger. Over the 3 months that I took the product, my sleeping habits are increasingly much better. I got a better night's sleep, and I just can't say enough about the product and how it makes you feel. Also, additionally lost a little bit of weight on the program as well.
Hi, this is Erin, I take Calitrin for weight loss, and I've lost about 20 pounds, and I feel great.
Calitrin is scientifically proven to help with sleep and weight loss safely and effectively. Check it out at toploss.com. That's toploss.com.
President Trump